competition is very confusing. We have a world where events are continually happening faster and faster, and most of those events aren't things that anybody planned. We have to respond to those events instantly, and we have to respond under pressure. And we have to respond by making decisions. We make little decisions every day, and sometimes those small decisions can make a huge difference in the course of our life. And if we can learn to make those decisions a little better every day, we can have dramatic improvements over time. Strategy is a mental weapon. If you read Sun's book, you won't know how they fought wars in the 5th century China. This book was written 2,500 years ago. And if you read his book, you won't know if they fought with clubs or machine guns, because he never talks about any weapons and how to use them. He never talks about any kind of military force. He only talks about the most important weapon, the human mind, and how you use the human mind in battle. One of the reasons that his system works so well for any form of competition is that human beings are the same, and the human mind is always the most important weapon. And as far as how we use our minds, we have to think about the difference between planning and strategy. We learn how to plan out systems one step at a time. We learn how to think through problems in a linear fashion, one step after another. But that works in controlled environments like a factory. And it works extremely well. We can put together assembly lines where we do one little job after another and we get a finished, very complicated product very predictably. And people in the factory are taught to follow orders, taught to follow procedures. And that thinking was actually the basis of our classroom education. The entire modern education system all over the world was based on teaching linear thinking, teaching, people to follow orders, to work through processes one step at a time. Almost all the sales books that you read are about the sales process, trying to break the process down like an assembly line. So you have little steps that you do and smaller steps and more detail. And that system, in terms of increasing production, has been successful everywhere. And it's been the basis of globalization. More and more people have learned how to do that successfully. But the problem is, and this is the problem we're running into today, is that there is a big difference between production and competition. Strategy works in a completely different environment. It works in an environment where things aren't controlled, where there are many independent forces at work. What we say is that in a strategic environment, in a competitive environment, that's the place where people's plans collide, run into each other, and what results is what nobody planned. In this environment, you need not assembly line thinking, but frontline thinking. You need to think about how to adapt to events, and that conditions are continually changing, and you have to continually adjust to those events over time. And that's what Sun Tzu's system teaches. It teaches us how to improvise, make the most of the resources we have, meeting the conditions that we face every day. We don't learn strategy, unfortunately, in our school day, in the classroom. We learn strategy in the playing field, playing in the schoolyard, and then in life on the playing field of business. And unfortunately, the way we learn is from trial and painful error. Very little organized information about how to use strategy in the competitive world. If all the books, business books, you could have a whole library of all the business books that teach management, but as far as strategy goes, there's not even a shelf of books that teach you about how strategy and adaptive strategy works. So competitive strategy is the opposite of production planning. And I'm going to be talking a lot about this theme today, and if you don't leave here with any other idea, I want you to leave with the idea that you can't plan strategic moves step by step the same way you do production. These are two opposite skills, but they're both necessary.